precious ones of the light. From our temple of mercy here in Peeping, there is a fountain flowing out into the world. The flowing fountain of mercy is intended to be a place where all may come and bathe, to wash themselves free of every condition which might seem as though it would stain the brightness and beauty of their consciousness. When man came forth in all of his purity from the very heart of the sacred fire into outer manifestation, it was intended to be a glorious experience whereby the life stream, holding on to the hand of its presence, walked through the veil of becoming and entered into a conscious unity step by step along the way. It was never a part of the divine plan that there should be thorns and thistles and decay. Beloved ones, these outer conditions did not originate in the consciousness or the plan of God, but they were introduced by the discord which manifested in the consciousness of men, whereby mankind, who were intended originally to be a friend of all the elemental beings, instead of reflecting the perfection and purity of God, sent forth the discord and disturbances which rose in their own consciousness. As this spewed forth into the atmosphere, into the air element, out into the water element, into the earth, and even created the condition of cloud and smoke within the fire. The pureness of the flame, the clearness, the crystal clearness of the water element, the fresh purity of the air saturated with pine and wildflowers, and the wonderful warm earth, rich with the glory of God and the golden color of the sun, was changed. Elements outpictured the consciousness of mankind, and as they outpictured it, so the thorns and thistles of life became scattered abroad throughout the earth. Therefore the crown of thorns worn by the Christ was indicative of that which is worn by mankind. And to the present day, the discord persists and brings forth in the universe upon earth a mounting call for mercy. Beloved ones, individuals who enjoy the perfection of seemingly good health and wealth, all of the things for which their outer self may crave, sometimes in their satisfactions do not realize that these blessings are theirs by reason of the goodness of God and are intended to be shared with all, that they have a responsibility and a place upon earth. And therefore, at times mankind become very smug and conceited, as it were, in their own outer consciousness. They do not give gratitude to the great source of life. They do not feel the need to possess the quality of mercy. But beloved ones, mercy stands waiting when they will need, when they cry out, when the hour of travail comes, I am there, waiting to flood forth mercy to all who need it, without bothering to question, to even gaze upon the karmic record. Beloved ones, I would like to speak to you about a condition of reservation so frequently held by mankind within their consciousness. It is this: the assessment by mankind of whether or not an individual may need or require to have a good thing, or whether they deserve it. Individuals oftentimes, as they pass by on the street, behold someone that seems to be in need, to question whether or not that individual is genuine. This we do not do, beloved ones, for we look upon all as genuine offspring of the Most High God. We do not gaze at the karmic record of individuals in outpouring or apportioning mercy to determine whether or not they deserve it, but we stand as if we had in our hands baskets of beautiful flowers, and we pass them to each one that needs that beauty. The sole requirement is the need of the hour, not a question of merit. And therefore, because of this particular quality which we have here in Peeping, we ask you to pause to consider, to emulate us if you will. I do not mean that the students at large should not be perceptive or discerning in regard to their own acts, but I refer particularly to the quality of showing mercy and kindness and understanding to one another and to all men. As you shall give of mercy, so shall you receive. And as you receive, you shall become more equipped to give. And so there shall be a mounting tide of cosmic mercy, rising higher and higher as a bulwark, a credit, an accumulation of good stored within the bank of this blessed earth, so that mankind who need to draw upon that deposit of mercy may at a moment reach out their hands and receive it. Consider for a moment, beloved ones, the meaning of spiritual bankruptcy. What would it mean, precious ones, if you were to go to the great cosmic bank of God's own supreme abundance and desire to draw therefrom of a need, only to find that that bank was swept bare of all credits? It would be quite a surprise, I am sure. But God be thanked that this is not true. That because of the foresight of God, the brothers and sisters here in Peeping and others throughout the world, the violet flame of mercy and forgiveness is all over the world, awaiting mankind's recognition of it. Beloved ones, I would like to say something to you today about your spiritual devotion and the flame within your heart. As you sit here in meditation and in attunement with God, the flame rises and pulsates within your heart. You are musing upon the glory of the sacred fire. You are enjoying the communion with the love, the mercy, the peace, the joy of God. Let us now then bring a stranger into your midst, one not spiritually perceptive. These individuals are not able to see, and sometimes are not able to feel the radiation and communion which is taking place within the sacred place of your own heart. And to them, as they behold you contented, it seems as though you are in some way given over to a form of human foolishness. They do not understand. They do not feel the great attunement with the God flame. And they wonder what it is that keeps you faithful to the goal. Be not disturbed, beloved ones. This is a perfectly natural occurrence. You yourselves at one time, beloved ones, were in the place in life where you did not always understand all that was spiritually done for another. And therefore be not surprised or disturbed that others might not always understand you. And therefore, in the beat of great cosmic mercy, let the flame of your compassion leap out to all at the moment that they require it. That individuals who come seeking comfort to the meetings where the ascended masters are contacted may receive a flow of love from your heart and a smile from your face and understanding. I would like to say to the students that unfortunately, in many cases in spiritual organizations, individuals have looked with a certain hardness upon the incoming stranger. And that individual, not feeling a welcome, departed empty-handed. It is needful, because of El Morya's plans to expand the work in the near future, to bring many into the fold of spiritual attunement, ascended masters' consciousness, to the feet of their own divinity, to the great fountain of mercy, and the tide, the rising tide of divine love, that those who are truly students of the sacred fire should come to the feet of their holy Christ self and ask for the dignity of a Christ, one who would, if necessary, kneel before the feet of another to wash the dust of the road from off their feet, to take the hand of another who might not be so nattily attired or in such perfect style, if the occasion should arise, and say to that one, precious one, you are a child of the light, a child of God. I bid you welcome here. Come and drink of the fountain of everlasting life. We are gathered here by the grace of God to commune with the beautiful spirit of life and light and love within the paradise of God. And although dwelling and abiding temporarily in a miasmic world of human fear and doubt, we are separate and apart, devoted to the purposes of expanding the eternal mercies of God, that all men may perceive their reality, that that reality may pass through the density of human experience and penetrate to the core of the heart, until the sacred fire core of the heart of each individual life will leap for joy, even as the mother John the Baptist leapt for joy. Salutation, beloved Mother Mary. Precious ones, it is so necessary for individuals to have a spirit that is receptive to the knock of the divine consciousness at the door of their heart. It is so necessary for them to realize the depth and the height and the nobility to which the Father would have all aspire. I wonder sometimes, precious ones, if you are aware of all the cruelty and the tortures that have been practiced throughout the world in times past, even to the present day. The world needs the unguents of spiritual purity, spiritual mercy, spiritual grace. The wounds of the world are great and gaping. They are terrible, and yet the power of light to heal them is like a great and magnificent scalpel held within the hand of God. glistening and shining with the radiance of heaven. By the power of the sword of light, it cuts mankind free and then transmutes all the substance there and heals without a scar. This is cosmic mercy in action. A cosmic mercy which is now within your heart. You do not have to wait for it, for it is already there. You have but to expand that flame, precious ones, and it will magnify God from the holy altar of your heart. I do not choose to discuss with you the instruments of mankind's torture of the past, but history is full of infamous episodes whereby mankind have practiced great and gross inhumanity to man. In this day of enlightenment, let the children of light and the followers of the ascended masters know that I, Kuan Yin, goddess of mercy, continue in the name of the goddess of justice, my sister, to pour out both mercy and justice to mankind. For when she dispenses the quality of justice, it is justice with mercy. And when I dispense the quality of mercy, it is mercy with justice. God is perfect balance, and in His light there is no shadow of turning or swerving or diverting from the straightness of His purposes. The temple of God is builded, and its sides are square. It is firmly seated upon the foundation of eternal reality. From the Father's house and mind, there has moved forth into form and substance perfection and truth and righteousness. Mankind, because they do not always apprehend that righteousness in balance, feel sometimes the need to execute judgment upon one another. Let them judge rather, as was written by the early fathers of the church, that they do not put a stone of stumbling in their brother's pathway. Let them judge rather how that they may walk so as to assist those with whom they are bound in evolution. For this evolution is not merely a material evolution. It is a spiritual evolution which brings to the soul of man the kiss of the Father's inheritance that exalts that man into all that is God. This is the supreme anointing of the mercy of life, which raises that which was made a little lower than the angels until it is crowned with more glory and honor. Beloved ones, in these moments of peril, when the destructive elements seek to divert mankind's attention and place it upon lesser objects, raise your eyes to that great divine light of cosmic mercy and behold the mercy and justice of God as a ray piercing through the seeming gloom and shedding comfort into your hearts that overflows the chalice of those hearts and extends itself to all. Beloved ones, pause to consider how that throughout much of the world the youth of the world shall soon be returning to the classrooms in order that they may learn the lessons of this mundane world, that they may learn and come to know how to interpret the hieroglyphs of mankind, the writings and the numbers, the histories and the ideas of mortal individuals who have walked upon the dusty sands of this planet. Remember, precious ones, that there is little instruction given to the children in connection with spiritual matters, and there is a great dearth and a drought of spiritual matters which is given to these who are so young and tender, who need and require and thirst after spiritual knowledge. I ask you then, in the light of all that has been, in the light of the former activities, such as the Summit Lighthouse, in the light of all the discord that has been thrown at the leaders of those past activities, in the light of all the destruction that was leveled at the spiritual activities of the Great White Brotherhood when they came to manifest upon this planet, that you consider the great need for binding up every wound before it happens, and preparing to keep the flame of Almighty God burning on the altar of your heart and upon the heart of this organization, that the Brotherhood of Gethsemane, which beloved Jesus advised the people of in his address spoken some time ago in Canada, may become a reality, that the instruction that the world's children need and require may be given through this activity, that it may expand and make of every home and fireside a place where the mercy of God can be dispensed in those sacred formulas from the cosmic mother's heart, of which I am but a part. For all of the ladies of heaven together consider themselves as a part of the great world mother, the concept of the universal mother God, that shall train every child of earth, and those on every planet where life is, in the right way, that they may express the fullness of the life that is within them, until all come to a place where there is a quieting of every disturbing element and a magnification of every golden moment by the Christ intellect in the fullness of its manifestation from the heart of the Christ love, by the power of God that brings the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God into a dual unified expression, whereby all life is and is one. This is the fullness of mercy fulfilled. I thank you and bid you good morning. unto you, beloved ones, thousands of years ago, when the beautiful Lady Miriam wandered along the Nile and, reaching down into the waters, took therefrom the reed basket, carrying and conveying the body of beloved Moses. It was an event of great importance. The words, beloved ones, for unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, are charged with the full meaning of heaven when each life stream comes forth into embodiment. Remember, beloved ones, it is not the mere physical vehicle which is brought forth, but it is the conglomerate consciousness of an individual expression of God. And therefore, when each mother holds within her arms a tiny form, that tiny form, whether it is yourself or another, is charged with hope, the hope of the God-parents of that individual. For I hope that all of you realize and are aware of the fact that you are not merely one of your bodies, but that you are yourself a flame of life and light and love, which is released from the heart of God, with the dual qualities of both the feminine and masculine expression attendant within that pulsing flame. In the consciousness of God, then, there is a feeling of hope at the birth of each child, for that child is hopefully brought forth, perhaps, beloved ones, to minister to one's soul, perhaps to minister to an age, perhaps to do as Moses did, to lead the children of Israel to the promised land, and then again perhaps to minister to raising one from the dead, or to performing a service to a family, or for some specific purpose in one episode of that individual life. Embodiments have been given, and embodiments have been taken away. For it has well been said that the Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. But it has also been said, blessed be the name of the Lord. And therefore I say, blessed be the name of life. Long ago in Egypt, when we sung a hymn unto God, it was a hymn unto Aton, the God of the sun. Mankind today and modern theologians, both in Christianity and elsewhere throughout the world, are unable to always understand this, and some of them have wrongly referred to us in that era as worshippers of the sun. Beloved ones, it has also been written in your day and age 2,000 years ago, and is still handled by mankind today, let there be light. The light brought forth mankind. In him was the light. And therefore, beloved ones, this light is the light of the sun. It is the light of life. It is the light of truth. And it is the light that shines in the darkness. And yet the darkness does not comprehend it. Beloved ones, the light of God, which does not fail, is present within every beating heart. How can anyone then in this room or elsewhere in the world legitimately deny the presence of life and therefore of God within their heart? And inasmuch he is the healing sun which is arisen with healing in his wings, he has the power signified in the symbol of the wings to exalt, to raise, to lift, to guide, to flood with intelligence, to flood with light, to flood with harmony and peace and every God quality. Unfortunately, beloved ones, the nations of the world, guided as they often are by an egomania of self-aggrandizement, whereby individuals themselves, desiring to possess, do not attempt to thwart others who attempt to possess by illegitimate means, and therefore there becomes entrenched in government a form of corruption in complete contradiction to ascended master integrity and God control. Because of selfishness, possessiveness, and greed, nations have gone to war with one another for centuries, manipulated by the powers of shadow. And when the wars were ended, I ask you, beloved ones, outside of those few wars that were fought in the name of freedom, how much advancement was brought about through these terrible conflicts which have wrought so much destruction upon this planet and created such terrible etheric records which mankind one day must transmute. An age of peace and enlightenment is always far more to be desired than an age of conflict. Even if individuals did succeed in bringing about some good event by means of war, I think that heaven itself would far rather see individuals achieve these ends even more slowly, if necessary, by peaceful means. And so, beloved ones, it is so necessary in protecting America and the free world today to realize that the forces of destruction, augmented by an ideology which is in complete contradiction to the great white brotherhood and its principles, has reared its ugly head in a nation which should be a nation of love and devotion, and has extended its tentacles across the land and the sea, even into beloved Cuba in this Western Hemisphere, and threatens to destroy the peace of the free world. Now, mankind, because you have a cause, will you unite now for a while and bolster the forces of freedom? Oh, beloved ones, this is a never-ending conflict. It is not something to which you should respond merely because there is a threat to your own personal well-being, but because freedom must be retained, it must be kept, it must be guarded, it must be cherished. The freedom to lift your hands toward the sun in the morning and to feel the pulsations of the life waves pouring down from the sun, tingling down through your fingers and charging your bodies with cosmic energy, is something to which every ascended Master Chela may rejoice in. But I ask you, beloved ones, how empty is the life bereft of the idea of God, or the idea of the supreme intelligence flooding throughout the universe. Through recent events in the field of science, because of the orbiting satellites and individuals therein, mankind have become more aware of the ascended master consciousness. For the ascended master consciousness is able at all times, 24 hours a day at every moment, to be aware of every nation upon earth. Instantly, the spiritual light encircles the earth, and we are aware of a small boy flying a kite in England. We are aware of a Chinese boy flying a kite in China. We are aware of a scrub woman on her knees in Korea. We are aware of an Eskimo sitting upon the shores of the far frozen north and eating the meat of whales. Beloved ones, we are aware of all these forms of life, the primitive and the exalted. We are aware of the intelligence within the universities and the colleges. We are aware of the hopes within the hearts of all men. And therefore we speak to you today concerning that hope within the hearts of all. For there is a universality of hope within the small boys, the world around. There is a universality of hope within the hearts of the peasants and in the hearts of the queens and kings of the earth and their heirs. There is a universality everywhere present, for men hope because God is hope. Beloved ones, I ask you to realize and to recognize within yourselves that this hope is a fire. It is first a spark, and then it is a flame. And as the hope springs up and becomes a mounting flame, it helps to externalize those very qualities for which you hope. This morning, beloved ones, I would like to call your attention to the need for you to recognize yourselves as key figures in the spiritual needs of this planet. What was the quality, beloved ones, that imbued the heart of Moses and every great leader? It was the realization that with God all things were possible, and the faith in the heart of that individual to reach up and place their hand or hands in the hands of God, and then go forth in His name to accomplish whatever good the divine plan held for them. And therefore, beloved ones, bear in mind that as you have had physical parents, so you have spiritual godparents who look upon you still as a newborn child of spiritual grace, and have for you a hope that transcends the centuries, that transcends your many embodiments upon this planet, that transcends all that you have thought that you are, and that reaches up to that which you truly are, and therein extends down to the you of the present moment assistance without end. Beloved friends of light and life and love, oh, the beloved ones who belong to my legions of cosmic Christ purity, you who dwell within the great temple of light at Luxor, you who magnify the Sun of Righteousness, you who behold the great power of the Ascension flame, I call to you now in the holy name of God I am, to flood forth the pulsations of light from the mighty Ascension flame, and charge that flame into this audience this morning, and out into the atmosphere of this city, and through the great nation America, and out into the oceans and the islands of the sea. Let all the earth tremble to feel the radiance of the mighty flame of the Ascension that ascends all back to the heart of God. Remove the veil between the Pia Mater and the Dura Mater. Remove the veil that covers the brain of man, the thickness and the lethargy. Let the flame of the sacred fire rest upon the pyramid of their minds, and bring them the perfect balance of love, wisdom, and power, the love that is the eternal pole star to guide them upward, the wisdom that ever knows the proper and correct thing to do, and the power in God's name to hold a constancy until that act can be consummated in the words of victory. It is finished. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. In the holy name of God, I bless you now, without limit, with the Spirit and the love and the wisdom of God. I address to you now the salutation of the heart flame, which is my own. It speaks to the heart flame that is your own, with the fragrance of a rare lily. It pours forth to you, speaking of the immortality of God.
Our beloved Chananda send we love and adoration, Son of light from heaven's height, with beauty, love, and power, as chief of the Indian council of the great white brotherhood, we call for a new birth to sweep the earth. For India illuminations flame. Let East and West unite in holy aim, and brothers be with one accord. O lightning mind of Christ abhorred, thy people bless with happiness. Thy standard raise the darkness now in me, and strands of light and understanding we. O India, blessed land of peace, awaken and blazon, enlighten all. Hail the beloved Chananda, Himalayan home of light, the holder of perfection's flame, your government for all. We call for America, for India, the head and heart, together like the cosmic Christ divine. Thy holy purpose is our sacred trust. Our destiny 'tis destiny, none does. The balance holds is set and free. Inheritance divine to see. Intensify and amplify the will of God for all upon the earth. Thy love and power made to give rebirth. The universe a oneness be. Your blessing outpouring, beloved Chananda dear, accept our grateful
In the name of light, and by the Spirit of the great white brotherhood, I am come today to bring to all the earth, from our palace of light here in India, the salutations of the great white brotherhood, and that wave of divine love which, pulsating through the ethers, exalts the spirit of man to behold the face of God. Beloved ones, have you thought of the meaning of your face as the face of God? Have you realized for a moment the full meaning of the statement concerning Moses, whose face was covered with a veil because of the glory of God which shone upon his face. Consider then the glory of your holy Christ's self, and the glory which you as students of the light may desire to externalize and to manifest before the children of men. In this age of materialism, and atheism, communism, and the forces of shadow which have taken hold of the imagination and mind of mankind and directed them falsely, it is ever so needful that the students of the light be made aware of their missions, individually and collectively, to stand forth for the Brotherhood and hold the torch of their being high. Remember, beloved ones, that you are dealing with tangible elements of spirituality. You are not dealing with invisible and intangible nothingness. You are dealing with the great potency and love of Almighty God, an eternal reality. Just simply because individuals may state that they do not see your spirituality is no reason to doubt its existence or accept the pressures of the mass human thought concerning yourself or any other child of light. Why, beloved ones, it is needful for you to even hold an immaculate concept for them who deny the very divinity within themselves and within you. Think then, if heaven expects you to hold an immaculate concept for those children of shadow, that you ought not to hold it for yourselves. Beloved ones, in holding for yourself an immaculate concept of the love of God, blazing forth with full potency through your life stream, you are able to bring to your countenance the radiance of the Eternal One and fulfill the injunctions and commands of the beloved Christ Jesus, that you should be cities set upon a hill, that you should not hide your light underneath a bushel. There must be some different quality between the children of the light and those who have no knowledge of it. You are expected to show forth a different reaction to the powers and pressures of daily living. Now, beloved ones, it is not necessary for you to condemn yourselves because in the past you did not always behave as you think the ascended masters would have you do, or as you believe your own mighty beloved I Am Presence would have you do. You may today call upon the ascended master's law of forgiveness and wipe clean that slate of wrong action. Certainly it is not the purposes of heaven to keep mankind under the hammer of karmic retribution. It is the purposes of heaven to exalt the benign and the glorious spirit of life within every beating heart, that all may shed forth the unfailing light of God everywhere. Purity and beauty and justice and every benign quality are within you. You have but to open the windows of your consciousness and let there stream forth from within you that dazzling glory of your own mighty I Am Presence. Beloved ones, this is not an outer circumstance. This is not a condition over which the outer mind alone has control, but this is the recognition by you of those innate powers of life and light and love within you, and the call made to you, to your own true self, your own mighty I Am presence, by your conscious mind and heart, for a release of the full powers of your own presence into your world, that its dazzling power may envelop you and make you in effect as well as in cause a child of the light, to shine before your own Father in heaven, your own mighty I Am presence, and before mankind as well. For, beloved ones, the spirit of victory has gone forth unto the earth, and it is in the name of your own beloved mighty I Am presence that I, Chananda, declare from our palace of light that the spirit of victory has gone forth throughout the earth. The spirit of victory over every outer human condition, and the power to triumph as the ascended masters have done. This power, beloved ones, is charged into the atmosphere of the earth this day. It is inhaled as the breath of freedom by all who live and draw breath. I tell you, beloved ones, the communists themselves cannot help but inhale this air of freedom, this air of victory, which is destined to erase all error of human consciousness and replace it by the ascended Master's light and love. The Great White Brotherhood is a tribunal. It is an active and forthright spiritual body. When you walk through the Supreme Court chambers of the United States, or into the halls of justice of any great nation, are you not impressed, ladies and gentlemen, with the architecture and the majesty and the respect commanded by those august bodies? Then, beloved ones, I am grateful to see the respect manifest in your being for the eternal principles of victory and justice and truth, for the Great White Brotherhood, for the organization which has acted for so long as the guardian of man's liberty. Won't you please be seated? Recent events have caused a joint meeting of the Great Indian Council and the Darjeeling Council of the Great White Brotherhood, and we, beloved ones, who are the head, as America is the heart of this planet, are determined to send forth a charge of cosmic intelligence, the divine intellect of the universe, into the very atmosphere, to alert mankind to the need to make use of the knowledge which they have already externalized. In the holy name of God, beloved brothers and sisters of light, pause for a moment and think of the great cosmic release of energy which has poured forth to this planet, in worded as well as written instruction concerning how mankind ought to love one another and be at peace. And yet today, in complete almost disregard of the powers of light, mankind still continue to generate and perpetuate discord. Now, beloved ones, I am sure most of you have asked yourself this question as to just what is wrong when the instructions have been sent forth and individuals are made fully aware of the seriousness of various situations. Why do they continue as though they did not hear? Remember, beloved ones, the injunctions of the Great Ones, saying, they have ears but hear not. This, beloved ones, is a proof of the great spiritual law, which causes mankind to have power to hear and they do, but their spiritual ears are dull, and they are not alert to recognize spiritual opportunity. Beloved ones, the opportunities of the Spirit are generated today in a tangible form in your midst. And in the fourth dimensional consciousness, as I am speaking to you, beloved Nada has externalized a beautiful pink rose of the full and complete size of this room. And this precious pink rose, beloved ones, charged with the ascended Master's love and the love of God, is completely engulfing the atmosphere of this room, so that you as individuals are sitting enfolded within its petals. Now, beloved ones, is this not a most glorious and beautiful concept? And yet, precious ones, unless you can absorb within the finer bodies of your being the great feeling of divine love which is within this rose, and then retain it from now for all eternity, you see, beloved ones, it will be but a passing event. For all spiritual events must be absorbed and retained by the precious consciousness and memory of individuals, so that they are able to realize that the law is the law in action, and not the law merely in quiescent knowledge. Beloved ones, the vigilance of the Spirit is a very wondrous statement. To be vigilant, to be on guard, to stand against the hosts of shadow and overcome them, is the duty and responsibility of all who love the light. The light, beloved ones, comes forth charged with the intelligence of God, with the fullness of that intelligence, with the love of God, with the full charge of that love, with the power of God, and all of the power of God. But, beloved ones, how much of that love, wisdom, and power do mankind individually express is the question. Precious ones, the veil that was over the face of Moses to prevent the children of Israel from seeing the fullness of the glory of God reflected in his face is unconsciously used by the students and individuals who claim to love God, permit a veil to exist between themselves and their own mighty I Am presence. This veil was never created by God or by their presence. This is a veil or curtain of maya and shadow, and it somehow acts to interfere with spiritual hearing and spiritual seeing and spiritual knowing, which would enable individuals to quickly make their ascension and throw off the fetters that bind them. If mankind en masse could erase this dullness from their own characters, the world would soon externalize injustice. A one great nation upon the face of the earth, like unto the American concept. The beautiful wheel of Dharma, reflected in the flag of India, shows the great turning of the cosmic wheel. And it is up to mankind to externalize industry, spiritual industry within their being. Beloved ones, have you ever thought of yourselves as a great factory? Well, precious ones of the light, you are humming today with the spirit of almighty life, and the director of that great factory may be your own mighty I Am presence, but unless you as the administrators over that factory shall take dominion and see that the edicts and rules and requirements of your presence are given dominion in your mind and affairs, then that factory will continue to turn out products of an inferior grade, and the perfection of your presence will not become externalized in your outer world. I am today as I address you, jointly addressing those august spiritual emissaries of light composing the Indian Council of the Great White Brotherhood and the Darjeeling Council. Beloved El Morya's Presidium is smiling and nodding as I say these words to you, for he is so well aware that we ourselves found it necessary to recognize this fact as almost paramount in order to utilize the great cosmic law which stood before us as a mere accretion, an accretion of words and concepts which we did not carry out into action until a certain place in our own embodiments, where we came to realize with cosmic austerity the need to open our spiritual ears and open our spiritual hearts to understanding. And then when we began to make application to the presence of Almighty God, and we called for the vivification of all of the great cosmic law of justice within our being, and demanded and commanded that it take command of our worlds, with swiftness and wings we were exalted into our own ascension, and the fetters and shackles that had long held us imprisoned dropped off as weights and were gone, transmuted by the great cosmic light. May the earth shake itself free from all of its fetters, its discord, its generations of idolatry, and may the world arise with God purity to externalize in civilization, in culture, and in art, and in government that righteousness which shall make the earth the fullness of the Lord's. The mighty I Am presence from the great central sun. O beloved ones, as you review mentally for a moment the number of nations which have gone down in past history because of disillusion and decay, because of discord and egoism, because of selfishness and greed, because of false idolatry and worship of the Molochs of materialism, you will recognize that today is a day of crises, a time when mankind must gird up their beings and utilize to the fullness of their capabilities all that God has given to their hand, to their heart, and to their head. Beloved ones, the Great White Brotherhood stands today ready and willing to continue its vast areas of cooperation with all of our chelas everywhere. Those who are wondering as to why there is division between the various groups devoted to the light, let me say here and now that there is no division on the inner, that all division or appearance thereof is on the outer. And just as each petal of this giant rose is one composing this one splendid object, glistening and shining with the pure light of God, so the great body, the spiritual body of God, the spiritual body of the Great White Brotherhood, around the planet is composed of the petals of many individuals and expressions of divine impulse and divine love. But the whole is one beauteous unit, infused with the perfume of cosmic unity. As you sang today to Micah, the beloved angel of unity, You reached his heart, and therefore, in communion with Micah and beloved Nada, this rose was created. It will be used tonight in a cosmic service that will be held within Mount Shasta. And this service will be devoted by the Great White Brotherhood to the purification of human consciousness. Mankind have the facilities to be able to externalize Saint Germain's golden age. They have them now. The churches, the temples, the mosques, all of those places devoted to the worship of Almighty God are filled with individuals, some in a state of learning and wisdom, and some in a state of confusion, but almost to a man, to a woman, to a child, desiring to feel the feeble flickerings of hope within them expand and become a flame. Is it not meet then that we stir them, that we bless them, that we feed them? They are the sheep of Almighty God. They belong within his sheepfold and within his heart. In the name of the ascended Jesus Christ, in the name of every avatar that ever walked upon this planet, I say then, let us move forward in the light. There is much that remains to be done, and by the grace of God it shall be done. Will you help me? Will you continue as you have to dedicate yourselves for those purposes which by the grace of God shall not fail? I thank you, and I bless you in the name of God, by the sign of the heart, the head and the hand, and by the Spirit of the Great White Brotherhood. Peace be unto you. May peace abide with you, and may you bring peace to all you meet. It is done. Thank you. In God's name, good morning. With the warmth of the Brotherhood at Darjeeling, I wish to extend to that magnificent godmother, Mary, the greetings of the Darjeeling Brotherhood, and pay tribute to the majesty of her presence, the trailing garment of her glory, which has exalted countless millions and brought healing compassion to the hearts of the earth. It is therefore our wish that the holy women assembled here shall recognize in her the power of example and seek to emulate her It is a just act indeed when individuals determine within themselves that they will emulate a holy being, if that being hold a momentum and focus of such exquisite perfection as she does. Then I think it is a tribute also to those who desire to follow in her footsteps. And we therefore tonight, at this hour, bring to you from the Brotherhood at Darjeeling a number of sacred beings holding within their hands mantles of the cosmic mother. We desire to place these mantles upon the shoulders of those who would walk in her footsteps, and thus perform for you an incomparable service on behalf of the light. Remember, beloved ones, that this is a tangible gift. And I hope that you will realize as you step into elevators and crowded marketplaces to pick up the hems of the sacred garment, that it do not trail on the sand or the places where men's footsteps tread. Lift it up and hold it in a spirit of cosmic exaltation, to keep yourselves aloof from the contamination of the world, but with no sense of human pride. Hold therefore the dignity of the cosmic mother as you move in the crowded streets and marts of men, that the commercial world, the world of form everywhere, may have the benefit of the multiplication of her radiance, that where now there is one, then there may be many like her. And I think the benefit to this earth shall be reflected in a greater maturity of its inhabitants. And we in Darjeeling, as we warm our beloved brothers here for the great open fire during the cold season of the year, will bid welcome to many of you to come and join us as we speak of God, the things of heaven, beauty of harmony, the loveliness of the sunset, the music of the pines, the glory of the stars, the peace of God, and the perfection of heaven. I have known many embodiments upon this planet before I won my victory, and I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that victory is worth every one of them, even if each one should prove to be one in which you would walk upon a crown of thorns with your bare feet. So, beloved ones, I hope that this is not necessary, and I hope that the pathway of life for all who shall follow will be easier because you have walked this way, and therefore that you will break off and blunt the thorns of life for all that you are able, and will cast in their pathway the roses that come to your hand and heart. Thus shall life arise in exaltation, and the Spirit of the Lord shall pass out from the hearts of men with the gleam of the Holy Grail. Men shall not ask where, they shall say, I am here. Thank you and good evening. with the tolling of the Angelus, there descends a sweet stillness over the human heart when that heart responds to the call of the bell. And as the mighty I Am presence of each individual upon earth sends forth its peal, inviting the sons and daughters of heaven to come home, so the responsive ones from among mankind listen to the call of the tolling bell sounding out the eternal hour, and respond by an about-face where necessary, a renewal of faith and divine friendship when needed, and repentance where required. Whatsoever the need may be, the individual who desires to respond to the call of heaven must respond now, for the only guarantees given to anyone are the guarantees of the eternal moment when the call is heard and the child answers that call. The tiny child Samuel, answering the call of God, said, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." As my mother took my hand in hers and led me to the temple of God, and said, "O my daughter, this is called the house of God. He is everywhere, and nowhere more powerfully felt than in the place where he is recognized." I was able to absorb a lesson from my mother's instruction, which stood me well, for I imparted that lesson to my son Jesus, and he declared, "Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath no place where to lay his head." For this concept of the omnipresence of God flooded his being, and he recognized that God is manifest everywhere and in all places, and he chose to recognize him everywhere. This night, as you are gathered together in honor of my ascension, I come to you to ring a bell of freedom in honor of your own. For there is no one today or tonight in mortal form for whom I do not hold an immaculate concept. And if therefore I hold an immaculate concept for all, then I ring a bell of freedom for each one. And I proclaim the majesty of the Ascension for each one. The way may not seem easy, and it would not always seem so for us. Mankind through the years have chosen to cover our doings with a veil of glamour. But the realities that were present in our daily life, the vicissitudes which we faced, were not so glamorous in those early days. And we knew at times the pains and unrest and uncertainty of ordinary men, for we were caught in an aura of confusion which was present in that day as it is today. However, we kept our faith fixed on the eternal presence of God. And when it seemed that the clouds and shadows of despair would envelop us, we thought about that silver lining which is behind each cloud and shadow. We thought upon the eternal perfection of the light. Although my words may be simple, they are durable. For you will find the simple thought and idea of the light a durable concept with which you can live. You will find this concept a staff upon which you can lean. And when mortal wisdom seems to fail, and the answers to all the queries within your heart do not seem to be given you, you may dwell in the idea that the light of God does not fail. And in that certain knowing, you will find a power to free you from the shadows of despair. You will find a power to exalt you out of the temporary situation in which you find yourself. And then, with grateful heart, returning to the concept of your divinity and its immaculate nature, you will move progressively onward in the light, as we did, one step day by day, nearer to your own ascension. Mankind today are truly, as Saint Germain has told you, living in concepts of peril and confusion. The seeming scientific progress of the communist world is somewhat a virile threat against the forces of freedom and democracy. And it would be well if all of America and all of the free world recognized the need to knit themselves together in this day and hour and rally around the cause of freedom with greater diligence, with a greater sense of honor and unity. It would render an incomparable assistance to mankind. I ask you, beloved ones, if the light that is America and the light that is freedom should go out, where would the world be in the hands of the anarchy and insidious nature of world communism? Where would the hope be within the hearts of mankind, for which all Christendom have labored and prayed? Then call, beloved ones, with a renewed endeavor, that the beautiful gift of freedom which Saint Germain and other masters have made possible under the hands of God for you to enjoy may be retained. For little by little inroads have been made into the very bulwarks of freedom which stand opposing the forces of shadow. And the forces of light must, if they will be successful, rally to a divine unity. Now then I speak for the ascension of all men, for the freedom of all men, for the freedom of every child yet unborn, that all may enjoy the blessings of liberty, that all may breathe of the air of freedom, and come to a place of dignity where their souls can expand upward toward the Ascension, to respond to the peal of the cosmic bells, to hear the tolling of that beautiful angel that speaks to each heart these blessed words, "It is finished. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful in a few things. Enter thou now into the joy of thy Lord, for I will make thee a ruler over many things. In my Father's house are many mansions. Therefore, in those beautiful planetary mansions of God, joys and wonders are prepared. Let not then the violent take these places by storm, while the heart of America sleeps. Let America awake and pursue diligently the things of spiritual glory. And as America pursues the glory of the Spirit, let it also pursue the necessary scientific advances of the age. I think it well if mankind would call to beloved Saint Germain and the Lady Master Lenora, that a greater relief of science and invention may be given, so that it will become less possible for the powers of shadow to attack the democracy and the places known as the citadels of freedom. South America, with all of its glorious terrain, stands as a fertile ground, a place where the beloved great divine director would erect a marvelous civilization such as the world has never known, a place in preparation of the incoming seventh race. Let then protection be given to the woman and to her seed, man-child of the Holy Christ. Let protection be given, and let a flood issue forth, a flood of mighty protection for all who serve the light, the world around, that the ascension in the light may become the goal of all, and that the forces of communism shall not invade that blessed place known as South America, but that the power of light and the powers of the heavens may be shaken, and the stars of the Divine One, that sacred Father Supreme, may fall to the earth in that blessed land to cast illumination over all of its people and over its terrain, over its mountains and hills and valleys, settling as a mantle of peace upon all, and reinforcing the forces of freedom the world around. For only by freedom shall men understand how their hearts may become open to their presence, and the presence can pour down the glory that shall exalt them even as the rays of the sun passing through the atmosphere enter into the heart of a lily and assist that lily in breaking forth from bud into full bloom, extending its delicate petals to the light of the sun as a chalice cup flooded with the perfume of heaven. So then let the perfume of the sacred fire and the sacred flowers of heaven flood forth within your heart and consciousness, waft into the atmosphere of the earth, and be inhaled by all who breathe the air of freedom, that the glory of the Ascension may become known, loved, revered and adored, even as we do, in memory of that blessed hour when I rose and was assumed by this ritual into the heart of God. I call to you all now to dedicate yourselves anew to the purposes of a cosmic mother. Even those who are not mothers will understand that all have the mission of my Son, a mission of their Holy Christ self to perform, and they can declare with him in the dignity of freedom, for this cause came I into the world, that all men might have life, which is God, and that more abundantly. So be it then in God's name, I am. So be it. Let life manifest more abundantly for all. So let all come to know more of the life that is God. So let more drink of this cup. So let all drink of it, for all are sons of one Father. I take my leave of you now, and as I go, I pray that those angelic beings which accompanied me as I was assumed into the heavens will bless you tonight, who have assembled in this place to honor my name. May that blessing which these angels bring to you be scattered into the atmosphere of earth, and may all share with you my feeling of love for the quietness of the evening of victory preceding the dawn of all men's ascension in the never-fading light of God. I thank you. Beloved God harmony. O thou all-pervading radiance of eternal harmony from the heart of God. Flood thou forth and make the earth victorious. The mighty I Am presence of all life is the presence of victory. It is within the heart of the sacred fire, focused within each life stream, whether they are consciously aware of it or not. It manifests the harmony of the eternal spheres. When the individual life stream, the divine monad, becomes still, in answer to the exhortation, "Be still and know that I am God," then that life stream, by reason of its quietude, opens the door to the outpouring of that harmony that is already within the beating heart. Do you see, beloved ones, how that the supreme cosmic law is simple in manifestation, but by reason of the complexities which mankind have externalized upon this planet, they cease to recognize the sweet simplicity, the beauteous and wonderful presence of life, and become caught up in a net of delusion and a snare to trap their mind in vicious circles and cycles which can never win for them their freedom or their eternal harmony. The presence of God, the presence of the great ascended masters, is all given to all for the one purpose, that all might win the laurel wreath of victory and have bestowed upon them the crown of life eternal. Because individuals do not acknowledge the presence of perfection is no reason for individuals to deny it. Because, beloved one, you will find upon this planet that there are many types of minds. These minds, beloved ones, are all manifestations of the Divine One, but because they have perverted their attention and have directed it to the outer, they have externalized many facets of shadow where light should manifest, and therefore the purity and the love and the beauty and the simplicity and the glory of their own presence does not shine through them, simply because by reason of density and grossness in character they have cut off the precious outflow and radiance of the light that otherwise would shine forth from them as a city that is set upon a hill and cannot be hid. O precious ones, I come today to bring you a feeling of divine harmony. As I am speaking to you, there is a steadfast radiance pouring forth from the great central sun from the heart of God, and this stream of mighty harmony is bending through the spatial highways and moving among the planets, the stars, and the systems of worlds to bring this all-pervading spirit of joy and harmony to all of the universe, including this blessed earth. Let then no recalcitrant substance be able to deflect or to stop or to impede the manifestation of this harmony which pours forth from the heart of God to bring divine balance to the earth and to every life stream thereon. In the name of divine justice, in the name of heaven, beloved ones, why will the mankind of earth continue to grovel in unhappiness and misery when the perfection of life is all around them, with arms of light waiting to raise them up into those dimensions of spiritual attainment where God is and where nothing can hurt, in that precious holy mountain of divine experience? Then, beloved ones, shake off now the dust and lethargy of the past and look toward those mountain heights of eternal perfection from whence cometh your strength, and recognize that the divine harmony of God is a tower of strength, that it is present within you now and at every moment. Beloved ones, I tell you it is present even when discord seems to hold sway. but because of past habits and momentums and vicious riptides of human confusion, individuals find themselves the victims of other men's madness, and so they are not able to enjoy the sweet simplicity of the Spirit of God, the Spirit of comfort, the Spirit of divine harmony, the Spirit of celestial beauty. I would take you now in thought for a moment to the islands of Greece, and beloved ones, I would point out to you a portion of the culture externalized there through the ministrations of that great Chohan of the rays, beloved El Morya. I would point out that Greece reflected in her glory, by reason of the sculpture and statuary there, a manifestation of symmetry and form and beauty, which was outpictured by the young of that nation, so that they were able to develop a spirit of Olympia, the abode of the gods, a realm of perfection, a realm of light. And although they knew not the glory of God, having erected on Mars Hill an inscription to the unknown God, which St. Paul commented on as he passed by, saying, "You have erected here this temple to the unknown God, him declare I unto you," then, beloved ones, I call to your attention that civilization of Greece, beloved ones, ignorantly worshipped the one supreme God, in spite of the fact, beloved ones, and irregardless of the fact that they had a multiplicity of gods, and that it is so interpreted today by mankind, by philosophers, by theologians, and by those in the outer world. And so, beloved ones, there runs a thread of divine harmony through all of the religious experiences of the world. There runs a thread of divine harmony through all the hearts of humanity, and it is completely and utterly wrong for individuals to point the finger of scorn at another religious faith. Won't you please be seated, beloved ones? To point the finger of scorn at another religious faith or an individual, and to say that that individual is not a child of the light. Beloved ones, individuals may be walking as children of darkness, but they were created from the light of God that never fails. And although it may be ever so true that there are sons of God and children of the shadow, all children, beloved ones, were created with one purpose in view, and that is the ultimate manifestation within their lives of the fullness of their divine perfection. And therefore it is the all-enfolding harmony and love of the Almighty One, your own beloved and mighty I Am presence, which pours out into the universe each day and enfolds through that magic silver cord of each one's life stream a beautiful sense of harmony, of which many, many, many individuals are never aware. But, precious ones of the light, you are aware of it, and you can express for them gratitude for that which they have. And as you pour forth gratitude to life for the gratitude that God gives to mankind, the light of God that never fails will expand this sense of gratitude within the force field of their worlds, and they will come to sense more of the love and the harmony of God that does pervade all things. Now, beloved ones, as I am speaking to you, I have no doubt that you realize that the angels of harmony, which are attached to my cosmic band, are pouring forth adoration to the great central sun. And as they pour forth adoration to the great central sun, they are kneeling around this force field of this sanctuary. And the songs which pour forth from their hearts are taking the shape of beautiful flowers. Some of them are in the form of pink roses, others of lilies of the valley, some as miniature calla lilies. And all of these beautiful flowers and fragrances are pouring forth as streams of love and light, poured back adoringly to God, externalizations of these beloved devas and spirits of light, poured forth in gratitude to the Father of all, the Supreme One. as these flowers gather round about the throne within the great central sun, in that great cosmic light force field where the great altar of eternity is located, there comes then an answer from the heart of God. And there is an outpouring of the gratitude of God for the creation. For the Father, beholding the creation, witnesses of it all that it is good. For the reality of God is manifest in the spiritual power of light eternal. And it is to this spiritual universe of perfection that the gratitude of God pours forth. The mighty I Am presence within the great central sun does not recognize human imperfection. Beloved ones, the mediator between your life streams, your own holy Christ self, is adjusting all human imperfection and elevating all who will accept it into the beauty of their ascension, and therefore the goodness of God, which is continually being poured out, and the gratitude of God for the creation, in which is reflected the goodness of the Creator, continues to mount in expectation of eternal victory for all life, eternal harmony for all life, and eternal peace everywhere present. Beloved ones, when harmony and peace are present, when the joy bells of the angels are heard by mankind, then I tell you, beloved ones, there is an end to the attention of mankind upon discord. Individuals no longer enjoy the misery of the world, but they enjoy the exaltation of the spiritual glories of God, the glories and the opportunities which are a part of you forever. Beloved ones, the outer vicissitudes, the outer stumblings, the outer shadow which mankind today find, which is outer darkness, this is not the eternal felicity and happiness of God. It is the pressure and mass momentums of human accumulation of discord, and it has no part of your life. Give it then no power in your own dimensions and world, but acknowledge only the harmony of God, and you shall become one with the purity of the mighty Elohim of purity, the purity of the goddess of purity, the purity of all the hosts of light. And you shall receive the benediction of my life and my cosmic light, for I am known as the cosmic being, harmony. Let all men recognize that harmony is the balance of life's energy within them. Let them recognize that that which flows into them and that which flows out must be in perfect balance. As they receive, so they ought to give. And beloved ones, as they give, so shall they receive. And beloved ones, just as you would not wish to dam up within yourself all of the inflowing light so that it would spill over in trickles over your life stream and be wasted upon the ground, so then direct it so that it may find directance by your holy Christ self to flow out in love and adoration to your presence, to your fellow men, and to the heart of creation. Then perfect balance will come into your life, for you will be giving out as you have received of God. Beloved ones, keep that hand extended to the heart of your presence to receive, for you need to receive therefrom if you would have to give. And God is able to supply all of your needs, each one, and to render you your just due, the perfection of your own mighty I Am presence. And now, beloved ones, as the song comes to an end, poured out from the heart of these Davids, I hope that you will realize that you have been bathed this morning in an outpouring of celestial harmony from the heart of God, from the heart of creation, and from the heart of the ascended Master. Recognize then and give no power to any other outer condition, for there is no other condition other than the power of God that is worth recognizing. And only as you recognize it as the supreme acting power within your lives and force field can you fully understand and have the power to walk in its victory and love. This love from the secret love star of God is pouring out now through this force field, and it will mount and rise higher and higher for the benefit of all who have come together in this place this morning, and for the benefit of all life and all who love life. In the name of the celestial harmony of God, I take my leave of you now, but I ask that the benedictory radiance of your own God presence shall abide within your consciousness, waking and sleeping, making you more aware day by day of the celestial harmony of the ascended Jesus Christ and every ascended Master, until you no longer dwell in the shadow, but see the mighty light of God that does not fail, and hold hands with your own presence. I thank you and bid you good afternoon.